In a world where content is limitless, two dudes forge an unbreakable bond to become a part of something larger than themselves by creating a podcast unlike nothing the world has ever heard. Time is running out, and all hope will soon be lost. Their content could hold the key to fight against the darkness. No matter how many podcasts the people have listened to, they haven't heard us. Not us united.
You want to do a podcast or something now?
Yeah, let's do a podcast.
All right.
Episode 3. The third one.
The third one.
We're back, baby.
This is the end of our trilogy of podcasts. After this, we'll stop.
Yeah.
I guess.
Or continue next week.
Oh, who knows?
The choice is yours.
The choice is yours, audience. Vote now on your phones. Call 1-800.
Big Daddy's Sass.
I think that could actually work with all the numbers, right? Because don't you need like 8?
Yeah,
no, you need
close.
7.
Yeah.
1-800 and then the 3 and then the 4. So DADDYSAS. That won't work.
Just 1-800 Big Daddy.
Big Daddy with a few Y's at the end.
Yes.
Well,
anyway,
what you been doing? How are you, Nick?
I'm actually really good.
Yeah.
Tonight's a good night.
Yeah.
We're gonna be talking about some fun stuff, and yeah,
Nice.
I'm pumped.
I'm
How are
pumped
you?
too. I am also pumped. I would say I'm equally pumped about the pumpedness of your feeling pumped.
Yeah, it's like equal pumpage.
Yeah. It's like I went to a gym except for movies.
Yeah, exactly. We're getting swole on
Movie swole.
movie swole.
Mm.
Yeah, and we're not even talking about Fast and Furious,
Yeah.
which is wild. So you can
not-
get swole on other things, I guess.
You cannot. Familia?
Yeah, Familia, Suanitos, Ices, Mr. Freezes.
Mr.
We'll see.
Freezes. Just as you brought up Fast and Furious, we're not watching it.
Right.
Is there a reason why we're not watching it? Because we're both not fans of, or just haven't seen any of them. I've seen Fast 5.
Yeah, and I've seen Tokyo Drift. So I feel like
That's
it
like the-
peaked, right?
That's
Like
like-
everyone's like, you
Everyone
know?
hates Tokyo Drift.
Oh, everyone hates Tokyo
Yeah,
Drift.
I think so.
Well, then I'm actually glad that that's the only one I've seen.
Yeah.
Once it became like vehicular warfare, I was like, I don't know about this. You know?
So pretty much since like 4.
It was like as soon as Ludacris said,
Luda.
they got a tank, then I was like, all right, I think I'm all right.
done. But no, you don't realize it. Like Vin Diesel had this plan in his mind the entire time. You know,
Yeah.
he was like, "Oh, there's gonna be like 8 different movies. Oh, I don't know how many there are now."
It's true.
Did you?
Well,
see? Go ahead.
For every reason that I love Independence Day, I probably would love
I know.
Fast and
which
Furious.
is why we're so hypocritical.
You know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to watch all of them.
We should watch all of them
All right, we'll watch all of them
next week.
next week so we can see the movie.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good point about Independence, because like Fast and Furious is dumb, but I feel like I don't know. I kept saying, and I know you did, because you kept texting me during the week one-liners from Independence Day, like "Get the tires and light the fires, Big Daddy."
Yeah,
And I'm like, that movie's just it's the one-liners. It's really
it is.
is that glass bulletproof?
Yes,
No,
amazing.
sir.
And then shoot every window, not just the ones in front of them, all of the windows. It's
Anything
amazing.
that is glass, we break.
We also had our first like shout out from a
Mm.
person who listened to our podcast when we literally mentioned a one-liner from Independence Day just a few hours ago.
Yeah.
It was literally "Kick the tires, light the fires, Big Daddy."
Mhm.
And our friend Chris literally turns around and goes, "I'd rather be at a barbecue."
Yes.
It's like, my dude.
While he was walking away and holding a baby.
That's right.
It was amazing.
My dude.
My dude.
So we're going places.
We've reached one.
We've
2.
reached some living rooms. We're getting
We've
there.
reached the living room that we forced it into.
True.
Yeah.
Hey, but he's dedicated. He
Yeah.
said he's on like day 2. He's like listening in increments. Respect.
Amen. We have some
Respect.
solid fans out there.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Good friends, probably.
Yeah.
Instead of like
Some random dude
good
from like
good fans. They're more
yeah,
just
from
like
like Oregon or
they're
something.
friends
like,
that actually care about a stupid project.
yeah.
So I love it. All right, should we finally
You want to talk about this movie?
tell people what we're actually talking about?
Yeah. So if you haven't read the title and just clicked on a random podcast, this week we will be reviewing the newest hot off the press musical.
Mm-hmm.
Produced and written by Lin-Manuel Miranda, directed by John M. Cho.
Mm-hmm.
I am unfamiliar with his work. Let me just look at his IMDb. He did G.I. Joe Retaliation, Step Up 2,
Oh,
Now You See Me 2,
interesting.
Freaked from 1993,
Okay.
In the Heights.
So this guy's stacked. Got it.
Um,
G.I. Joe
he did
Retaliation.
Crazy
Is that
Rich
the one
Asians.
where
That's
they...
a great movie.
Wait, what?
Crazy Rich Asians.
Oh, yeah.
Great movie.
I was literally thinking about this movie, and, like, the energy that kind of came off this movie reminded me of Crazy Rich Asians. And I didn't even look up the
Really?
director. And I
Really?
was like, this kind of is giving me other... like kind of just the like it was just like very confident and very just like I don't know, it just knew what it was, and it
Yeah.
like didn't have to explain it. It was just like it's
No,
happening.
this movie went fast.
Mhm.
And it's just like, hey, this is what it is, and you're gonna accept it or not, and that's pretty
Yeah.
much how it goes.
Mhm.
Would you like to explain, no spoilers, briefly the plot of In the Heights?
Yes, sure. So this is basically, let me give actually some context. Did you know
thank
that
you.
this was a play before Hamilton?
I did.
Okay. And Lin-Manuel Miranda did that as well.
Yes.
So all these songs were actually like pre-Hamilton, which changed the way that I viewed them,
Right.
because I was thinking, oh, if this is after Hamilton, I've got some thoughts. But if this is like
Before Hamilton.
you're almost seeing like Hamilton come to life because of some of these songs. Like
Yes.
now all of a sudden I'm like, oh, hey, context is king. This is crazy. So anyway, thought that was nuts. But
Definitely get into that.
shares some of the cast from the original Broadway play of Hamilton.
Yeah, the Anthony Ramos
Yeah.
Usnavi in the movie
Usnavi.
is his kid Philip in
So good.
Usnavi.
Yeah, I love Usnavi.
Yeah, it's a great name.
Yeah.
It's Usnavi. It's I was thinking about it, like I remember his name because it's so different. If it was just like John Man, or like whatever,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, it's Usnavi. It's weird. It's different. And I was just thinking through the week. I'm like, oh yeah, I know the main character's name because it's so weird.
Yeah, it's true. It's unique. And the premise of this movie, or well, wait, how not spoiler do we want to be?
It's about
We can tell the broad strokes.
the broad strokes. It's about this what the borough. What do they call them in New York? They call them like districts or
Yeah.
boroughs or
Yeah.
something, right? This area of Upper New York that these people are living in, and they're just trying to survive. You know, they're
Yes.
like we're just people trying to make a living,
Yeah.
and
It
things
follows
happen.
a couple of characters
Yeah.
that get like major arcs, and then a few other people who get smaller arcs. But the main one's Usnavi, who is originally from the Dominican Republic, immigrated over here, but wants to eventually go back because his father had this really cool shop
Yeah, Beach
back
Cabana, or
yeah.
something.
called Little Dream.
Suenito.
Suenito. That's right. And so that's kind of the basic story, and then obviously it gets more in depth after that. But
yeah,
that's kind of the overall. Everyone's kind of got a dream. They all kind of are different. They all intertwine, and it's just kind of this great like neighborhood family movie.
What did you? I think we should do. I think we can do a comparison of Hamilton now, or in spoilers, or maybe we should talk about Hamilton
Yeah.
and how we feel about that.
Yeah, in more like broad sense. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know because
we can also
going to talk
we
about
can also
Hamilton.
review Hamilton if we really wanted
Yeah,
to. But
okay.
let's be honest, who hasn't seen it? So maybe it's okay just to talk.
I
about
think we should. I
Hamilton.
think it's just fair
It's
game.
a
at this
cultural
point.
phenomenon
Yeah.
for like a decade. So
Yeah.
it's fine.
But I couldn't help but compare it to Hamilton. I feel like that was a
Yes.
hindrance from me to this movie, and I
Mm.
feel like obviously it really is his first effort technically,
Yeah.
I guess, or beginning effort. And then Hamilton, you see his broader strokes, his more confidence, his more like, I think there's a lot more diversity of sound in Hamilton, where this kind of feels
Right.
like very like, oh, it's all kind of like this. I feel like the songs are
Yeah.
fairly similar.
Yeah. I think if I would have been I've been exposed to this musical first, then Hamilton, I think I would have liked this musical a lot more.
I agree.
But when you watch it, it's hard to not watch it through the lens of Hamilton because it's literally like
Changed
from
the
the
game.
creator of
Yeah.
Hamilton. Also, I was like, let's hopefully like Lin-Manuel like hangs out for a little bit before coming into this just to slap like, hey, I'm from Hamilton.
Mm.
And he's like in it in the first like
30
minute. It's
seconds.
like,
Like
hey,
the-
I approve. And it's like, like just it's hard to separate when you're that culturally like,
You changed the game.
yeah, you change the game. So now it's like, it's like bringing Michael Jordan in like 30 seconds in. It's like, just hold on.
Yeah.
Like, let him show up and do something cool, but just hold on. Like,
Mm-hmm.
let's let these people have the show. And he eventually does give them a show. Like, it's fine. But I think the music is quite similar. And if you have the context knowing that this was the first thought, these were the first songs that he created
Yeah.
professionally, it's fine. But when you're watching it as though it's its second, to me they felt a little more repetitive.
Yeah.
The songs didn't stick out as unique because it's like, oh, I've heard this song. It's just the last time I heard it, it was about Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like, oh, I
Yeah.
heard this song before.
And
Everyone raps like this in the Hamilton musical.
Yeah, he definitely took the theme of like immigration into Hamilton, whereas
Mhm.
like, you know, he said Hamilton was like this great immigrant, but like this is literally the immigrant story. Like this
Right.
is what he really wanted to make.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh well, I'm gonna throw that theme also sprinkle it into
Yeah.
Hamilton, but this is like the immigrant story
Yeah.
that he really wanted to share.
Mhm.
I feel.
Yeah. And so I think like ultimately like Hamilton unintentionally catapulted this like musical probably higher, and it's going to reach a lot more people because of the Hamilton
Mhm.
tag, but I think it's going to probably not be as well received because it's so much like Hamilton
Right.
that you're going to compare the two
Right.
too much.
Mhm.
Like it didn't do a good enough job of separating itself as two musicals.
Right.
And like there's just catchier songs in Hamilton.
There
if I'm
is.
being honest, you know.
I agree. There's really like, I think the set pieces are good here. There's a lot of movement, and I think the directing is good because this could have been very basic musical and like very static cameras. But there's the camera's movement is very dynamic, and there's certain shots where it's like, oh, this is like a movie.
Yeah.
It's not just like, oh, it's a musical and we're gonna try to pretend like it's still on the stage kind
Yeah.
of thing. It's like this was actually like done
Mhm.
well, and I think it's always just gonna be, oh, it's Hamilton light,
Mhm.
and that's always what it's gonna be, and that's a shame because I feel like
Yeah.
this movie is better than it is going to get credit for,
yeah,
but it's getting overshadowed by literally the
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 mega
musical that like redefined and reanimated this art form.
Right, correct. Yeah, I agree. The curveball I will throw you though is, I think I still prefer the plot of In the Heights more than I do Hamilton.
Nice. So I liked when people weren't singing in this movie.
Yeah,
Yeah, I liked what was going on.
Correct.
It was interesting, and then
Mhm.
someone sing was like, oh, okay, this is fine.
yeah,
But
it's a beautiful story.
it is it's
Yeah.
a great story.
Mhm.
And I wanted to say, like, I don't know if this is like whatever, but my experience was like, so my family comes from like, and this is like great grandfather was an immigrant, came in
Mhm.
here, and so like not that I'm like the most person to be like talking on this subject
Correct.
at all, because
Yeah.
I'm like,
I
if
get
you
what
look at
you're
me,
saying.
I'm a white boy,
Yeah,
but
I
like
get what you're saying.
it's like I felt like, oh, I've always been growing up in Arizona, being kind of in tune with like Latino
Mm-hmm.
culture, and always like, oh, not that I've like been it like the person, but like I was before I destroyed this movie. It was great to see
Mm.
that representation and I'm like, oh, I'm all for it. Like just be
Mhm.
like having this story of these immigrants in these Latino community
Mm-hmm.
being represented where it's very not well represented in like media at all.
Yeah,
And so having it be done is really encouraging.
for sure.
But that being said, it's an okay movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's good. It's
Mhm.
good. I enjoyed. Really, one song was extremely standout to me, and the rest were solid.
Mm-hmm.
But the set pieces were good, and the dancing was good. But it wasn't. Hamilton blew me out of the water.
Mm.
Like 10 out of 10. It's amazing, and
Yeah.
I can listen to those songs. I'll listen to some of the songs just by themselves.
Yeah.
I won't listen to the whole thing. Like, I went back and I listened to Hamilton after I saw this, and I was like, oh, I wonder, like, what's the difference? And literally, like, so this is the opening of Hamilton, and it's excuse me for my foul language, but this is how it happens. But it says, how does a bastard, orphan, son of a whore and a Scotsman,
Yeah.
locked in the forgotten spot in the Caribbean? And then, like,
Yeah.
this opens up, like, hey, my milk is sour.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's such a dichotomy in that. And that's like,
sure. I see what you're saying.
they're like songs about pretty normal stuff, which is like the feel, I guess, of the
Mhm.
movie, to be like, hey, my milk is sour, I better do better because otherwise I'm not gonna make it back to the Dominican, stuff
Yeah.
like that, where I'm like, it feel like, and again, now looking at it to be like his second effort was Hamilton, or whatever, I don't know,
Yeah.
whatever effort, his next effort was Hamilton. It definitely feels like he got his form better,
Yeah.
and
see what
he
you're
was
saying.
much more wittier and much
Mhm.
more all this stuff.
Yeah.
So, what do you think? What are your feelings on?
Yeah. So I hear everything that you're saying, and I agree. Like, Hamilton, like, very catchy, very like, oh dang, this is, and even like most of even the talking in that eventually becomes song. Like the
If you listen to like
Hamilton's,
the album, it's just the entire play.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
like, it almost feels like it's 80% to 90% music,
Yeah.
with like a few, but even some of the song, like the singing is kind of talking, because
Yeah.
that's kind of the style in
Mhm.
some of them. But whereas you were saying like the good parts of this, like when they're not singing, are really like beautiful. There are some really good. I think there's just some things in this movie that can get captured a little bit better than can on the stage. And so like the pool
was
scene was amazing.
great. Yeah.
I can't remember what the song was called, but when they're finally all kind of like getting back together after the outage,
After the blackout,
and,
yeah. The like
that
party, the
big-
fiesta thing,
Yep.
yeah.
that was pretty cool. And I feel like some of those moments for me helped me connect, because there was at least there was something in Hamilton that just like I never emotionally connected with it, because it was just like, oh, this is cool, it's like historical, like I get it, like cool, but like there was never a part where I'm like, I really care about these guys,
characters, yeah.
whereas this one like struck me more.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's where you and I will probably see it a little bit differently. Is, yes, the milk is sour, silly, compared to like this crazy, amazing, like
Yeah.
mega whatever. But again, like I said, knowing that it came before Hamilton has changed me in my thoughts towards it, because I was actually like, had I just talked about it a week ago, I would have been like, Hamilton 2.0 didn't live up.
I know that, as we talked about, you saw this
Yeah.
movie before me, and we talked about it a little bit one night, and
Yeah,
I thought you were like really down on it.
I was ready to,
but now
like,
you like kind of made a turn, which is cool.
yeah,
a little bit.
I kind of forgive it, because I'm just like, oh, if we would have gotten this first, this would have been excellent. And if I can
Yeah.
see through that eye instead of constantly compare it to its bigger brother,
Yeah.
that just did a better job of
Yeah.
executing and all that other stuff, this movie's great.
Yeah.
It's just, you can't,
It's
there's
overshadowed.
an elephant in the room
Yeah.
that I think is just going to shatter people. So if you could go in like with pure like thoughts that like this has nothing to do with Hamilton, I think you'll really enjoy this musical.
I agree.
But if you're a huge Hamilton fan hoping for like
The
your
next
second
Hamilton.
injection of like an amazing cultural phenomenon, I don't think it's going to probably live up to
No.
the hype. So,
No, I don't think so.
but yeah, so that's our spoiler-free review.
Right on.
Now,
Now,
let's get into
spoilers.
nitty gritty,
Gritty. The Nicky Gritty.
the Suenitos,
Suenitos.
the little dreams.
Suenitos.
I do like that. That was a nice. There's very good cadence to this movie.
Yeah,
Like,
there was
they
good
do-
cadence, and I liked how like they spoke in Spanish too.
Mhm.
And I was like, hey, I understand some of this.
Hey, my
I
dude,
was, I
didn't
was
have
like,
to put the subtitles on.
did you?
no.
Oh,
well,
okay.
Yeah.
But it was good. So I guess just start from the beginning, eh?
Sure. Yeah.
I think so. As you were going through and saying like the differences between Hamilton and this, it's like the point of this movie is that it is just kind of just these people's lives, and that's it. There's no grandiose like founding fathers, birth of a
Correct.
nation kind of thing. This is like, hey, I really need to get my refrigerator fixed
Mhm.
because if I don't sell anything, then I'm never gonna achieve my dream,
Yeah.
kind of thing. And everyone has these little sueñitos,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
sueñitos.
Mm-hmm.
And you understand, like, okay, well, there's this girl that like went to college and now she's feeling like she can't make it, and that was the character I
Mhm.
also connected to the most.
Yep.
And maybe that's because I went to college.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's like, oh, here we want to keep the radio station up.
Mhm.
The kid is undocumented. We want to make sure he has a life. These other like the salon people want to get their
Mhm.
thing going. And so it's like all these people could, once the lottery ticket kind of came up, I was like, oh, this is where this movie's going.
Mm-hmm.
But then it kind of stopped
Yeah.
focusing. It was like once the pool scene about the lottery, and then it's like no one has a ticket. Okay, cool. And then this blackout happens.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like it wasn't super well. It felt very musical in that a lot of things weren't really well connected in my mind.
Yes, I would agree.
And just
with
kind of
that.
just, hey, here's this, and then this, and then this,
Mhm.
which it felt like a musical because
Sure.
sometimes they just kind of do that.
Yeah.
And yeah, does that?
Well, yeah. So let me say something outlandish, and
Go for it.
we'll get us taken off of Spotify.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. No. This musical could have existed without the music, and it would have been a really good story
I
movie
agree.
that was a half an hour to 45 minutes shorter, and it would have been fine.
Oh yeah, this movie is kind of long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But because like I think you and I are again in the lens of Hamilton, it's just like, oh, I can already think of those other songs so much quicker than I can of the ones in the Heights.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be my like first thought is just this.
Make a drama.
It didn't have to be a musical because
But-
some of it
Yeah.
was filler. Like you
Mhm.
said, it's like let's get this plot point out quick. The pool scene. There's a lottery ticket. All right, now that that's been placed, we're gonna give you an hour and 15 minutes of just other stuff.
Yeah.
And then the lottery ticket's gonna come back and it's
Yeah.
gonna make it's gonna
Mhm.
change everything.
Yeah.
So I'm with you in that regard. What are your thoughts on like? Were there some arcs that you thought were like well done and
Mhm.
some that weren't, or do you feel like overall all that was good?
The beginning, Usnavi, I was like, he sounded a lot like Lin-Manuel, and it was just like,
Mhm.
oh, I don't know, it was kind of hard to get into.
He's the better version of
He's-
Lin-Manuel.
Yeah, but he was better. I was like, oh, this is like a little bit
Yeah.
better. And then Lin-Manuel showed up like literally 30 seconds in, and we're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, he's in this movie too.
And he's just like Keora, and I'm like, please stop.
Yeah.
Just let other people shine for a second. I've got a bone to pick
como
with them. But
siempre.
anyway, go ahead.
And so I enjoyed, I think her name was Nina. Was that the college
his
girl?
love interest? Oh no,
I found the
college-
girls to be way more better in this. Way more
their
better.
songs were the best.
Yeah.
in the whole musical.
Yeah.
because all the guys sounded the exact same.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was like,
Exactly.
not gonna throw away my shot. I'm just gonna go walk down the street and do all this stuff. And
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
I get what you're doing. It's good,
Mm-hmm.
and their dance moves and their choreography was really good. I
Yeah.
think the music itself kind of like lacked,
think
except for the ladies.
All
the ladies killed it.
Nina, played by Leslie Grace, and then Vanessa by Melissa Barrera,
Mhm.
and then mi favorito, Abuela Claudia. Oh, she was so amazing in this movie.
Is she the salon owner?
No, she was the little grandma, Abuela.
Oh yes,
and then
that's right.
she has
Yeah.
my favorite song in the entire movie, Paciencia y Fe. And like it's the best song. It's the best song because like she's like having this existential crisis of like, should I stay here?
Yeah.
And like she's like the original immigrant to this
Oh,
area.
that's right.
She's
Yeah, where
going
she
through the
kinda, like-
subway.
yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful. That's
Yeah.
the best song, and it's the one
Yeah.
that sounds different and has a different cadence to it.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe it's because like the female voice where it's not like. It didn't sound like the rap talk Lin-Manuel Miranda. It was
Yeah.
like, should I stay here? This is the story of me. I came here with
Mhm.
nothing,
Yeah.
and then I was told to learn English and be a maid and like stay in my lane. But you're like, know what? I'm gonna keep doing my thing.
Yeah.
And like she became the success story that all these people are now trying to run away from. Like they were like,
Yeah.
I made my place here in America, and now like Usnavi is like, well, I want to run away from that.
Yeah.
But then ultimately he finds that like this is his home now.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. She came, she conquered, now she wants to stay, whereas everyone else is kind of like, great, let's use this for what we need it for, but then let's kind of like
Bail.
not be here for the rest of our lives.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Which is fine and on its own, but like you have to find your own little
Yeah.
sueñito.
That's true.
But
Keeps coming back. He's gonna be the iconic version of this episode.
Suanito. But I thought she was, and then her death really was the turning point, which was like the last half hour where like now the movie like kicked up, whereas like that was emotional to me.
Yeah.
Like
the blackout was basically for that reason.
Yeah,
you know,
no,
it's like it almost was
to
like
die.
to make it like
an excuse to be like,
well,
hey, she's dead.
And it also like her death would have affected everyone, but this kind of allowed it to be an event that then also like kind of made it go beyond what it just was.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because the blackout felt kind of random, like because I was like 3 days to blackout, 1 day to black. I was like, why are we counting down to this? But she was amazing, and the Paciencia Fe was the best song.
That was
in the
a good
movie.
song.
The best song.
Is it gonna get an Oscar?
Maybe it's gonna get nominated.
I think it's gonna get nominated. Yeah,
I think it's getting nominated because of Lin-Manuel Miranda. I don't think if this movie happened before Hamilton, it wouldn't get nominated. But because it's getting so much hype,
yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to like, yeah.
It'll probably get nominated that Golden Globe category of like best. It'd be nominated for best comedy or musical movie.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I would agree with that. Going off of my favorite character, I really did like Usnavi. Anthony Ramos was actually really good. Not that was like a surprise. He's actually been in a couple other things besides Hamilton. Like he's getting some traction elsewhere. And I saw that he's now casted as the lead in the next Transformers movie. And this time they're going Beast Wars.
Really?
Game over. It's going to be the best Transformers movie ever. And he's in it, so who knows? Maybe they'll sing as well.
Usnavi here.
Yeah.
My milk got spoiled. I'm a Transformer.
Optimus Prime. Like, it's going to be nuts. I loved his character, though. Like, it just felt like the whole world on his shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
But he had this little dream, and it's like, should I be selfish? A little Suanito. And should I be selfish? And then his like redemptive arc is that like actually you get the best of both worlds.
Do you think it was kind of fast at the end, where it's like he saw this painting, and then it's just like, oh, my little Dominica is here?
Yeah, I mean, you know how much I dislike like unused time in movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was plenty of time for them to like make that better.
Yeah. And
they used it on other things.
Like
there was probably a song that Lin-Manuel like wrote and was like.
You mean the middle of the movie where he's talking has a rival ice cream truck and he's just rapping about like
that 5 minutes didn't have to exist. It was cute, and I think if you're from New York, maybe that's a thing.
Sure.
Maybe there was like a cultural like
food vendor wars.
Classic food vendor guys.
Yeah.
Like maybe that is a thing.
I'm sure.
Like, and us Midwest boys or you know whatever don't really know what that means.
It's the crosstown farmers.
But every scene that Lin-Manuel, like I honestly respect the dude. The dude is amazing. It's just we know you're a big deal, and so to me every scene that he was in just felt like, hey, I just got to make sure you guys know I helped with this.
Yeah.
And it's like, is this going to be the thing going forward? Like, will you ever just, like, I know he's done some stuff with Disney where he, like, writes a song.
But he was saying,
but he won't be in
them,
it.
I think, yeah.
But,
whatever.
I'm scared we're going to be like, hey, guess what? This is another Lin-Manuel Miranda musical. And guess what? He has to be in it for at least 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Center stage. And it has nothing to do with the story.
He has to have
I just
a
feel
song.
like it's going to be forever. Like, his trademark.
Yeah.
So hopefully not. I'll be optimistic. I'll go to the next one, and then after that, we'll see what happens.
I like what he does.
Yeah.
I like Hamilton. I like what he did. He didn't solely do Moana, but you can see his parts that he did.
Right.
And that opening song.
Yeah.
You can see that one. But, like, I know a lot of other people worked on that.
Yeah.
But.
For sure.
Yeah.
But he kind of has, like, a theme to his songs.
He does.
You know? And don't get me wrong, there's other musicals. Like, I was trying to think through, like, because, like, some of the musicals that I like are, like, Phantom of the Opera, like Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of his songs do include, like, kind of, like, crazy, like, electric guitar and just random stuff. But you never look at both songs and go, oh, I really see, like, his songs in Cats really line up with his songs in Phantom of the Opera. You know, like, Lin-Manuel's, like, this feels like it could have been on the same album as Hamilton, and you wouldn't have known.
There were, like, drum beats and, like, there were
There
moments,
was even like choruses.
yeah,
that
where it's
felt
like, oh, this is Hamilton.
Is this the Sisters song
Yeah.
from Hamilton? Like,
Oh yeah,
like
people
there's-
start hit certain
yeah,
notes
there
and
was stuff where it's just like, dude,
Yeah.
like, do them in the right order or like do something else.
Well, he would have never gotten to make this movie if
Yeah.
not for Hamilton. There was
Yeah.
no way this movie was happening.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Which
But-
is whatever. Good for him.
Yeah.
Did you notice there was a little Hamilton tune when
Yes.
the dad was on the phone,
Yes.
and that was the King song. You know the
the You'll Be Back.
yeah, and
Oh,
at
I
least
didn't
the little.
notice that.
I think it was the little like.
I thought it was the. Yeah, you're
da,
right.
da, 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 da. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, you're right. What
And
was that song?
I thought that was interesting to put to a college ringtone
Mm-hmm.
because it's all about money for the colleges, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just like the king just wants all the money in the taxes. Oh.
Yeah.
No, it's just like I think it was like a slight commentary of like, hey, college is like way too expensive.
Oh, interesting. Like
That's
a
what I-
nice Easter egg.
Yeah,
I,
I
see
think
what
it
you're
was
saying.
like because the king was like always wanted the taxes. King George was like
Yeah.
the villain in
Yeah.
Hamilton and
Yeah.
in real life.
Yeah. In real life. Classic. That song is so good.
And so I thought it was I could be way off base, but I thought it was like I'd be like, hey, college is expensive, and why does it need to be so expensive?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're cutting out these people. It's really hurting middle class to lower class.
Yeah.
If college is becoming more of a higher class thing, which it
Mhm.
used to be,
Yeah.
but now but then like 20 30 years ago a lot of people go to college because it was cheaper, but now it's going way back up, and now it's becoming more of like the elite where it used to be with like Harvard and
Yeah.
all that.
Mm-hmm. No, that I like that. I guess I didn't even catch that. I need to go back and watch that because that's a good catch. Good catch.
I could be making up a lot of things right now.
You could
but-
be. I do remember there being a Hamilton
Yeah.
song, and it was like blatant, but yeah. So you said what you've liked. You said kind of like what didn't make sense to you. Was there anything that you feel like would you have done differently, or maybe just cut? Like what about the stories like would have
think
made
this-
it a little bit better for you?
I don't know. I wasn't super opposed to really anything in the movie.
Okay.
I just think it wasn't done like it was too long. I think it was too long,
a little too long.
and I think the music was too similar.
Yep,
and
music
so
was too similar. Yep.
Do like something and the pool, even the pool scene was like the music felt like 96,000. It was like the
Yeah.
same kind of cadence
Not
of
gonna
like
throw away my shot.
yeah, I'm not throwing away my shot. Or like the entire movie was pretty much if you just like kept playing
Mm-hmm.
that bass soundtrack, it felt like the same. So I would have tried to mix up the songs a little bit,
Yeah.
do like a nice slow song or like something like like again,
Mhm.
I'm so sorry to keep comparing it to Hamilton, but like
No.
Satisfied is my favorite song on
Yeah.
Hamilton. And do it or like a moment where one character's doing something, not with
Mhm.
an ensemble.
Yeah.
Because I guess one of the other better songs was when the two of them like were trying to pop the champagne, and he's
Mhm.
like, I can't get this gold shit off. You know,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah, that's true.
so
Yeah.
I would have done less large action beats and more like I would have done like that's why maybe the Abuela song is my favorite because it is a solo piece.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that is a good song. I connected a lot with like you said, the Nina, like just the pressure of like still having to go to college
Mhm.
and but now I'm back and now I look like the failure because I was the brightest one but didn't end up making it and stuff
Yeah.
like that. That was pretty cool. And then Vanessa,
Yeah.
Vanessa's just like her dream when she leaves the salon and goes and does her thing was really good too. But
Yeah.
no, here's the deal. Basically, what happened? If I'm gonna use a sports analogy, I mean
Go for
this
it.
literally is. MJ is Hamilton,
Mm.
and everything that comes from Lin-Manuel from this point on is going to be like the other.
What, Derrick Rose or something afterwards?
Well, just like you can try to be the GOAT,
yeah.
but like, what are you gonna do? Like,
Mhm.
you're gonna have to be so different, and it's just gonna be that talk. Like,
Mhm.
it's just like you're gonna have to literally revolutionize music again,
Yeah.
you know. And so I think that's the only problem is you can compare to other musicals because we're not thinking about Lin-Manuel Miranda the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
But in this one, you have to because
have
he's
to.
not only there, but the posters say Hamilton almost just as big
Yeah.
as it does in the Heights.
Yeah.
Like, it's nuts. So it's just one of those things where it's gonna feel like this
Yeah.
until he catches lightning in the bottle again.
Yeah.
You know,
Which is not, again, like, this movie is good. It has like one of the cool shots is like when they're dancing on the side of the building.
when
Like, that's when they like
change gravity
turn,
kinda,
like change
yeah.
perspective, and like that's really good stuff. Like, there's good stuff in here.
Yes,
And you could only do that in a movie.
Mhm.
You can't really. I mean, you could maybe do that in a play. Like, you kind of
there's
like
some La La Land stuff, which
Yeah.
I guess was copying other older musicals
Yeah,
that did the
yeah.
same thing. Yeah.
But side note on that building thing. So when they're dancing, a kid reacts to them, which
Mm.
means he sees something, which means they're really dancing on the side of that building, right?
Oh, so we're talking like something supernatural happened.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because usually it's like, if you're so overcome by emotion, you sing and dance. That's the musical, right? That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But usually that's like self-contained, or like you're dancing and like interact with other people.
You kind of break,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, if they broke out of reality, they're still in reality because someone reacts to their dancing on the side of a building.
I can see you jotting this down as you see it. You're just like, so I got these guys.
I got 'em.
Continuity.
No, so that means it's real.
Yeah.
It means they really danced on the side of the building.
Okay. Well, I don't like that. I mean, it's romantic, but yeah.
Love was so powerful that night.
That's fair. You're right. Okay. Well,
Anyways, that was
yeah.
something dumb I wanted to say.
you catch some small things. I'll give you credit for that because I didn't catch any of that. I was just enamored. I'm the emotional like guy who's just like, oh, this is making me feel the feels, and you're like, that kid, I see you. Like, I got you, dude. Like, I'm gonna break the scene down, pixel by pixel. I love it. But no, like, I legitimately mean this. It is a great musical. It's very solid. And if you have no knowledge of Hamilton, I think you will genuinely like it.
Yeah.
And if you can erase Hamilton for one night when you watch this, I think it would do you so many favors.
Yeah, I tried. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just hard when, especially if it's significant as it is to you. It isn't that significant to me. So, like, for me, it was just like, I can kind of cut this out. Some of it's like, but the songs do sound pretty similar. But when the girls sing, it's like, okay. Yeah. I broke out of that pretty easily when everyone else sang, but like it was unfortunate because I really liked Usnavi. Every song he sang, I was like, "Oh, this feels like
Hamilton."
It feels like Hamilton." Yeah.
I totally agree.
So, but overall, it's definitely like watchable. I would recommend it. I think it's good. It is good.
It is good. We
That's
can't do that one again.
We can't do that
It
one.
is good.
Okay. It is very good.
I mean, so I wanted to see. We just reviewed 3 of the completely different movies in the past 3 weeks.
Yeah, we've come full circle.
We've hit every genre probably. We hit a horror suspense.
Yeah.
We hit an action adventure ish.
Yeah.
Campy movie, and then we hit a musical. Like, we've hit everything. And
it's true.
I've rated every single one, and they're all gonna be 7s.
And
I'm like, what? I'm like,
triple 7s.
They're all 7s in my mind, but they're 7s for like different reasons, you know.
Yep.
Like, Quiet Places because it was suspenseful and good, but it was nice to flesh out the universe and all that. So Independence Day was a guilty pleasure of mine, and this one's just like a solid movie, but it could have been better. But I enjoyed it, and I will be visiting this movie again.
Mm-hmm.
I won't go back and listen to the soundtrack by itself like I used to do with other movies, but I will watch this movie again because it is at least enjoyable.
Agreed.
And I think I watched the first little bit after I finished it. It ends way better than it starts. The last half hour is actually solid. The rest of it is really, really muddled. And so I think going back and now realizing, oh, this is kind of muddled, I will enjoy it a lot more.
Yep. It's kind of a mixed bag. It kind of reminds me of the same feeling. It's not as good as, in my opinion, as Mamma Mia. But that's kind of the feel I get, where it's like, hey, the plot's cute, it's family, it's whatever, and these songs just help, like, do that, and then there's still enough, like, talking scenes. That's just kind of this, I would say it's very, like, similar in that regard, where it's very, like, comfort food musical. I mean, don't get me wrong, love Phantom of the Opera, but I can't, like, all right, watching Phantom of the Opera for the 5th time this week, you know? Like, you could have In the Heights on in the background.
Yeah.
I think it would just be, like, comforting.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. Yeah, I think that's really good.
Okay, so you and I got into a little debate earlier, and we need to settle this.
Yes. We're going to have a duel.
A duel? yes, of the fittest mind. What makes a musical a musical? Because it seemed like it was very black and white, and then it appears that there could be more to this than meets the eye. So, with that said, what do you think makes a musical a musical?
So initially, when you asked me the question, I was like, oh, anything that has a set piece that's like music based.
Okay.
And music is like a clear thing present in the movie.
Right.
And then you hit me.
I rebutted with, okay, what about a movie like Bohemian Rhapsody, which was a biography on Freddie Mercury?
And then I crumbled.
Yeah, that has multiple set pieces. However, it's just him performing Queen songs.
Yes.
So would that therefore, in your argument, not be a musical?
It would not be a musical. Because even though, like, what I said, it would have technically fit into a musical, what I said before. But now I think that was stage performance. Oh, man, this is going to get so finicky. Because I don't, it's just like, musicals are a feeling. And I guess, like, in Bohemian Rhapsody isn't a musical because it's not the whole, I guess the dancing would be an aspect of it too.
Sure.
Or the performance where it's like you're singing on a street and not on just a stage.
Right.
Where Bohemian Rhapsody, you're singing on a stage or in a sound booth or wherever. Yeah. It's just about the music, where this is like in the Heights, say like, I'm singing because I need to I need money from the lottery. And it's like, I'm dancing in the pool and I'm doing all this stuff. So, and so that's what I would consider. It would be song and dance. And even though it's titled musical, I think dance is a huge aspect of it now that I think about it.
Interesting.
This is me thinking out loud.
I'm calculating, and I'm going to like just shoot out another thing. So like, what do you do with musicals that are plays within plays? Like a Moulin Rouge, where the whole thing takes place on a stage because they're literally performing a stage musical.
Well, then it is a musical because they're performing a musical.
But it's on stage.
Right, but it's on stage. It's literally
okay. Yeah. No, you're fine.
It's like they say it's a musical, right? So they're performing a musical, so therefore the movie's a musical. Okay.
But then to your argument, if someone just states that it's a musical, then it's a musical.
Stop.
So here's another one. Okay, so I get it. Stage can't do it, but it has to have like dancing involved.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that makes sense. I feel like all the musicals I can think of, there is dancing. There is like the Phantom of the Opera of it all too, which is a lot of that is them just rehearsing their stage musical that they're about to perform. And there isn't a whole lot of like dance numbers. It's a lot of just, hey, I did you a favor and gave you a great voice. Now can we be boyfriend and girlfriend? And there isn't a lot of dancing involved, but I would argue that definitely is a musical.
Yes, I would agree.
Okay.
Oh man.
Do you want me to just keep doing this to you?
Because you're just ripping down my argument. Like, yeah, I agree. You're seeing how like
your definition just needs to evolve and adapt.
I'm trying.
I'm helping.
I'm trying.
I'm helping. I'm pruning your
my
bad branches.
Yes. This is literally on the spot, so I don't know.
That's fine.
It's just like it's more of a. If I look at a Bohemian Rhapsody, it's not a musical. But if I look at a Phantom of the Opera, it is a musical.
Okay. Do you feel like?
Do you agree? I guess that's the other argument. Like,
well, okay, yeah, good question. Do I agree that Bohemian Rhapsody is not a musical?
That's the question?
That's what you're asking. Yeah, I would say it's not a musical as well. But this is where we get into another sticky situation because
I thought we were already in it.
We're already in. Because my argument to that would be like, well, it's not original music.
Okay.
But then every jukebox musical across the universe.
I was gonna say across the universe, Mamma Mia.
Yesterday, or like anything that used Beatles songs or Mamma Mia, is that original? Then is that even a musical? Because
those are musicals then.
Right.
Right.
And I think the lens of Bohemian Rhapsody is that it's ultimately
it's a
drama biography that happens to have musical numbers in it. The hard part with that going forward is who gets to decide what the primary genre of the movie is and what is the secondary? Because does musical have to be its primary thing? Because we'll run into movies that half of the movie isn't a musical, but the movie is a musical.
Yeah.
And then we run into movies that arguably have more music in them, but aren't musicals.
Yeah, like Bohemian Rhapsody has a lot of music as opposed to like Mulan, I guess.
Yeah.
Just off the top of my head, I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of that second half of the movie, there's no song.
The difference in Bohemian Rhapsody 2 and then your traditional musical is that the music doesn't drive the plot.
Yeah.
The plot gets them to that point, and then Queen develops a song, but that song isn't displaying any plot meaning throughout the movie.
It's just that like the characters aren't displaying their feelings in that song. It's just "We Will Rock You."
Yeah. It's
not inherently precious to the plot,
right?
To be like, whereas in the Heights, it's there's a lottery ticket and we're gonna dance in a pool about it.
Yeah, I mean, literally the plot they can have scenes where they're not singing and singing, and they both move the plot. If you took
the music out of Bohemian Rhapsody, it would still be Bohemian Rhapsody. But if you took any part where people sang, in the Heights, it wouldn't be in the Heights.
Yeah,
because I mean, I know Bohemian Rhapsody, that end concert is awesome. It's great.
Right.
But like, I think that still semi holds up, that idea.
That's fair.
Of like, you can still tell Freddie Mercury's life without singing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I totally get it. Yeah. I just think that's one of the movies that kind of is like in that gray area where it's like he is performing some songs and he's singing them and it's in film, but
it's more about like life. Like the song you sing is like in a musical is like what you're feeling at that present moment.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. I don't need to keep kicking you while you're down.
No, please keep going. I'm in a corner and I'm fighting for my life.
I've already like trashed you up.
I think it's fine.
The thought process that I was doing this with goes back to I took a religious studies course in college, but it was over comic books.
Nice.
It was like connecting like
That's
religious
sick.
text to like comic books because a lot of the heroes like Superman and stuff have like a lot of like religious origins, and we had to define what makes a superhero. And then you start to realize, oh well, they have to do something superhuman. Okay, so then Batman's not a superhero. And you're like, well, yeah, he is. Well, what's his superpower? Well, he's got money that allows him to do
rich.
stuff. Okay, so you have to be rich then. Well, no, you don't have to be rich, because then Peter Parker couldn't be a superhero. And so then you realize that, like, oh no,
it's like an
this thing that we keep just saying around nonchalantly, like a musical or a superhero, actually, if we wanted to take it to like its
a literal purpose,
like what is its actual definition, it's not clear. So I was trying to think, like, does a movie have to have at least 2 musical numbers? And those musical numbers, it has to be this. But then it's like, how many musicals don't cross that line or whatever. And so I was mostly just giving you shit, but at the same time I was also like I was like, I'm just genuinely curious, like, what does make a musical? Because it seems like it's so fast to be able to like, oh duh, a musical is, and then all of a sudden
Bohemian Rhapsody,
in 2 movies we can go, okay, but except for those, and it's like, okay, that's fine. It's just, if we continue this thought, there's gonna be a lot of movies that don't make it into that category. Go ahead.
Oh, just to think of that, if there's like 2-3 numbers in the movie, like Mulan has like one song, and then the who is that girl? I see reflections, and then Make a Man Out of You. That's like it. But I would still kind of consider it a musical.
Yeah, I think so, because it moves the plot. But yeah, it's tricky. It's hard to say like what is truly. The question I have going off of this, though, we don't have to bore our listeners with intellectual like
debate of what is a musical.
Is do you think it's advantageous for a movie to try to advertise that it's not a musical, or to advertise that it's a musical?
I think now it is advantageous
to not be
to be, because of
To be a
Hamilton.
musical.
To
Okay.
like advertise that you're
Now
a
it's
musical
hot
because
again?
now it's hot again.
Okay.
But before that, I mean, you like Mamma Mia came out, and like a musical came out every once in a while. Like La La Land was pretty rare to
Mhm.
see something like that,
Right.
and it was advertised as a musical because it was so rare.
Okay.
And then
But for the most part, it was kind of almost like taboo a little bit. Like
I think it
unless
was
you're
pretty
gonna
taboo, unless you're like
full-
the Disney movie. Like a Disney
Yeah.
movie was under the water or whatever, under the mainstream idea of like, oh, it is musical because it just happens
Mhm.
to be animated, and that's
Yeah.
what people think of it as is animated. But the songs are
Gotcha.
where like musicals used to be like the thing in
Mm-hmm.
the 20s and 30s and all that stuff, and there's huge set pieces. But I think now it's advantageous to be advertised as a musical because it's so popular.
Yeah. No, I'd agree.
Yeah.
You don't have to be like ashamed of it, I guess.
No,
like,
not
like
anymore.
we're not doing that. Yeah. I was just curious, and I maybe we need to just Google like when does the Academy go? This is the genre, you know?
Oh yeah, like the Golden Globe
Because
nomination.
somebody
of-
has this definition,
some
and
people.
like someone's
Evolved.
figured it out. I'm just curious of what that is. So maybe
Yeah.
we can do some research and
That'd be interesting.
let our
Listeners.
listeners be like, man, we got to get to the bottom of this.
Or they already
this
know. Like
is
they're
our
like,
treasure
what are they
hunt."
talking about? That's exactly this definition.
Exactly. But anyway, it just felt like it was one of those easy questions that after asking it just a few different ways, it was like,
Mm.
oh, no, wait, this isn't as easy as we
Yeah.
thought. So
That was
anyway,
interesting.
yeah. So there you go. What makes a musical a musical?
Music.
Nobody knows, actually. It just kind of is a feeling. So, or, whatever they are doing on screen. So,
Interesting.
but yeah, I think a few prime like ingredients we would say would be that the music itself can't just be a musical number. It has to be a number that
Inherent
probably
to the plot.
has like it's written for a plot.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Nice.
So 8 Miles a musical. All right. So anyway, I'm just kidding. All right. So now let's talk about we're doing our first double feature. Why are you?
Oh, we have to move into this. Like you tear me down, and it's like, hey, time to move into this.
You stood your ground. I came at you. I'm sorry.
I just need recovery time.
Okay, fine.
No, it's fine. Oh man.
But yeah, we're doing our first double feature
Yeah.
because there's just going to be too many movies,
Yeah.
and we're going to see a bunch of them, and we want to talk about all of them. So we
Yes.
felt like it was necessary to
Yes.
start doubling up on some of these.
Yes.
Might not be the practice going forward, but we'll see.
I think this one is unexpected to be a double feature.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we'll look back on this week and been
Why did we do this?
Yeah, it's wild. But there's this movie that I saw a trailer for not too long ago. It's called Werewolves Within, which is loosely based off of a video game from the same name, which usually video game to movies, not a whole lot of success there for a lot of obvious reasons. But there's also some board games that are very like close to this, and so as avid board gamers like ourselves, we've played games like One Night Werewolf or like a mafia type game where you are all sitting around the table, but one of you is
A bad person.
not what it seems, and is a bad person who maybe overnight is like a werewolf and will take a person out, and you have to accuse people, but you don't have a lot of clues. It's just based off of intuition and mostly just
Making stuff up.
Yeah. So it's a very loose, it's an easy thing to make a movie off of, because there's not a whole lot. I mean, these games
no
take
lore.
2 minutes to play, and so anyway, we saw that it was going to have a limited theatrical release because it's just hot off the press. People
Coming out.
You're getting in this theater.
We had to fight people for these tickets. We had to. Yeah. Everyone was going
I
to see.
quote the guy who gave us our tickets last night: "Don't even pick your seats. No one else is in the theater.
He like skipped these screens. Oh, don't even worry about
Just
it.
don't even just give me the money and just go." I'm like, great.
I think we were the only people in that theater. Period. Like,
Yeah.
over multiple theaters.
Like after we entered was when they lowered the gate to like make sure no one else came into the theater. So like yeah, we were trapped.
When we walked outside, we were the only 2 cars in the parking lot.
Yes, like they may have even left. Too.
Yeah,
like who knows? Like we could have had the theater to ourselves.
Yeah.
But anyway, we saw this trailer for this movie, or I saw it, and I was like, yo, this is kind of based off of like a board game. We owe it to
board games.
Our hobby
Yeah.
to go see this movie. And you're like 100%. So I appreciate it, but I knew it was going to be an interesting one, so I bought your ticket
Thank you.
so you didn't have to feel bad if it was bad.
Yeah, I knew absolutely nothing. I didn't even watch the trailer. I knew it had Werewolves Within. I'm like, let's go.
Yep.
A new movie? Cool.
Yes, exactly. And I think it'll be able to be rented even like
on demand
a week from when this episode releases.
Okay.
So it'll be on demand like first weekend of July.
Nice.
So it's not having a long theatrical run. But let's talk about our special viewing.
Yes, because there was something special at the beginning.
That was also why we went last night. There was this special
10-minute special
preview edition of Werewolves Within. We're
what
like,
could this be?
Is this going to be like a red carpet event?
Yeah.
Are we going to get some commemorative pin?
I think is the director going to be there, like signing?
Yeah,
my baby.
Something's happening. And you know, folks, let me tell you what happened. Something very interesting happened. 2 things happened. One, we were shown a 10-minute video. You'd think, oh, like behind the scenes, how this was made, how did they do this during COVID, what's going on? It was a Zoom meeting with the director and the lead actor,
who at first didn't even introduce themselves.
They didn't introduce themselves. We just had to look it up afterwards, and based off of photos, we figured out who they were.
Yeah.
And then they proceeded to go, hey, thanks for coming to see this in the theaters. We're so glad that movies are back in the theaters. Now let's talk for 9 minutes about why we like movies.
It was this weirdest thing. I was just watching 2 dudes, and it was like, I feel like the conversation was so disjointed. It was just like, what do you like movies? I'm like, I love popcorn, and I like going to see movies.
I like friendship in popcorn.
Yeah.
Popcorn with friendship.
And he's like, I really like the spot where you said you liked popcorn and friendship, because I really like popcorn and friendship too.
That reminded me of my popcorn love. And I was like, what is going on?
You're like, you were like, you were 3 minutes in the conversation. You turn to look at me, I was like, I think this is a good time to go to the bathroom. Like, yeah, go ahead and go. So I had a unique experience.
You did. You got
where I sat
minute and a half.
by myself for a minute and a half in an empty theater, listening to 2 guys talk about their love of popcorn, and I'm just sitting there laughing.
Yeah.
Just like, probably thinking like I'm a crazy person. Like that's probably when the projectionist like looked down and saw just one dude sitting in the room.
That's amazing. So anyway, that ended. It wasn't fruitful.
No, I learned nothing.
Any form of the word. like
you're saying, like at least do it at the. I would say do it at the end and be like, here's a cool scene that we filmed. Yeah. This is how we did it. Mm-hmm. Or this is how we did it during COVID. Or this is like, hey, do that at the end, maybe. And be like, hey, thanks for seeing this movie. We really appreciate it. We had a lot of fun doing it.
Yep.
Here's something.
Or even just. If the extra thing was a minute long and it was just the director going, hey, I'm the director, thanks for coming and seeing this movie. Because
like
that's
John Krasinski did that.
Did it for Quiet Place 2.
Yeah. That was great.
That's fine.
That was perfect.
You know, but like our theater even advertised it as like a special preview event. It was just like, what did they tell you like was so special about it? Because like, I'm like, oh no, I hope this doesn't hurt our view of the movie. Anyway.
It did not whatsoever.
Yeah. The movie was still the movie. Then the second thing that happened with our showing is what made this is what made it so much better. Was then the movie starts, and this isn't a spoiler, it just has a quote from Mr. Rogers on it, and all of a sudden we're starting to see subtitles, and the subtitles are in Spanish, and we're like, oh,
it must be
interesting. It must be for just like this one quote from Mr. Rogers. That's odd. No, folks. Turns out it's the whole movie. The whole movie is subtitled in Spanish. And we're just like, oh, okay. So like, not only did they send us like a a quick copy of this, the Select Theater, but they must have thought Iowa meant something else, or I don't know.
I don't
know.
It must have just been like they're like they must have just been trying to reach a certain audience. It's like, hey, I know there's a lot of Spanish speaking people in in America because it's the second most spoken language in the U.S.
Sure, but you think that would be advertised?
I guess
You would put that as like, and also
in Spanish.
in Spanish subtitles.
I wish it was the other way around. I wish we had audio in Spanish.
Oh my gosh, dude!
And English
That would've been
subtitles.
nuts. Well, yeah, I guess because it was very distracting to like watch the movie, hear the words that I understand,
Yeah.
and then see the just words that like I knew some,
Yeah.
obviously, but I'm just like, this is, but I don't even need to read these because
Yeah.
like I'm understanding what's going on in the movie. So anyway,
But there were certain moments where it's like they like do the full sentence, and like
Yeah.
the character pauses. And I'm like, well, I know what this says because I read it in Spanish.
That's true.
And
Yeah.
so I'm like, oh, I knew like a half a second before.
Yeah,
Sometimes I'm
that
like,
kind of
oh,
takes you out of it a little bit, I suppose.
Yeah.
But so anyway, just to paint you a picture of
what we experienced.
Yeah.
You turned to me and I'm like, I'm so sorry.
I was like,
no, this is one of the greatest cinematic experiences of my life.
I was like, I bought your ticket, so at least stick it out with me, and let's just call this.
And then
good.
the movie.
Yeah,
And then the movie itself.
yeah. Let's I guess let's give this like a quick spoiler-free review, because then let's just jump right into this thing, because we're just gonna
Go at it.
just dig right in. Premise of the movie Werewolves Within is that there's a new park ranger who moves into a small town in
I think it was New Hampshire. They said Vermont in the movie, but then they pull up a New Hampshire map later.
okay,
So
good to know.
somewhere around there.
Somewhere, yeah, upper East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. It's winter, pretty much. City's like shut down.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a few people in this inn, and something is aloof. Something is afoot.
Something. Is it a hairy foot, Nick?
It could be. Are there werewolves among
within.
these people,
Among
or
us.
within these people? Like who
Without
knows?
these people?
Yeah. And some murders start to happen. Some things start to take place,
Spooky.
and nobody knows who to trust. So in that regard, I feel like the movie did capture that part of the very like
Game.
loose concept of the game
Yeah.
very well. I felt like it was unpredictable,
Yeah.
in Who's Who.
Yeah,
and
we were
what
kinda
was going on.
guessing.
Yeah,
We were making our guesses.
yeah,
Our first intuitions weren't right. The first guess we made.
yep. And
I
the
think-
second or third,
I think the second one. I
You
think I
did
maybe
guess?
got the second one.
you did get it on the second one.
Yeah,
okay,
but still.
got it. Fair enough. You're
It kept
much
going. I was
wiser
like,
than
wait,
me.
is this? No spoilers, but it was like, oh, it was definitely up in the air of like who could it have been?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, as the cast dwindles,
Yeah.
you're left with less and less choices, right? But
yeah.
But yeah, it was like a like if anyone saw like Knives Out or like a Who Done It, like a
Mhm.
Murder on the Orient Express
Yeah.
type film. Those are just some recent examples. It's in the same vein as those. It just had a lot less money, and I don't know, like whoever was in control of it just had some real fun ideas.
It's one of those interesting movies where it's attempting to be a B movie. Like it's attempting to be this
Yeah.
quirky, we have a low budget, so let's just stick with it. It knew exactly what it was. It took a second to get
Yeah.
into it for I think both of us, but it's
Mhm.
like, oh, this movie knows exactly what it's gonna be.
Well, and the weird thing about it, and maybe that's because it's going to be able to be rented and maybe it'll start showing up on streaming, was it felt like one of those like movies that Netflix doesn't really advertise.
Yeah.
But like will pop out like 10 of these a year.
Yeah.
So it was weird seeing it in theaters because it was
Yeah.
like, oh, this feels like something
I would have watched on Netflix.
I would have watched on Netflix
Yeah.
or whatever. I'm glad we watched it in the theater though.
I'm glad we watched
because-
it in an empty theater.
in an empty theater. Yeah, that's fair.
Because otherwise,
knows?
I would have to been quiet and been like,
That's true. Yeah, both movies we've seen at this specific theater, we've been alone, so we've been able to just laugh and
And
like,
they've increased
talk.
my enjoyability of it because we would just keep ragging on the movie and just like every line was just so funny and we're just making fun of it.
It was good.
And that's basically my caveat to this movie is watch it with friends.
Yes,
Please don't watch this
100%.
alone.
Yeah, Exactly.
Watch it with a friend. Make a game of it. Just have fun.
Yeah.
Just make fun of it. And I think that's the intention of the movie.
100%.
It knows what it is, and it's just like, hey, it's fun. I would love to make a movie like this, just to make a movie and be like, hey,
Yes.
great. It had a decent budget around it, I feel like, actually.
Yeah. I have
Because,
to look up the total number, but.
yeah, I feel like there was something to it. It had some good stuff.
Agreed.
And it was like Clue, that kind of vibe. A Monty Python almost. Not that far, but
Agreed.
it has that same kind of vibe.
Yeah, I'm trying to look up its budget at the moment.
I'm guessing less than like 10 million.
Less than 10 million. I don't even know if they have it listed at the moment.
Probably not.
But yeah, I would
They took
agree.
a weekend and had a good time.
They did. Yes, I agree.
Because it's pretty much shot in like one area.
Yeah, I feel like, the setting up shop and filming this probably didn't take very, very long.
I think total filming would have been a month max.
Oh, wow.
Max. Because then you there's a lot of shots you got to get.
Wonder if it was like filmed this year then.
Probably.
That'd be wild.
Maybe.
We'd have to look into it, but
Yeah.
we just wanted to like really get in the theater and just check this baby out.
I'm so happy we went and saw this movie.
Okay, well, I'm glad.
I'm
We'll
very,
have a memory forever.
yeah, no, I'll definitely have a memory of this, and I'm so glad. I'm so glad there wasn't anyone else in that theater.
Yeah, there was some nice, it was good
It was
to
fun.
experience it that way.
Look, it's a terrible movie.
Dang it. There it is. Yes.
But I had a great time watching it.
Yes. Yeah. Gosh, I want to like this movie so bad. I really do.
I like it because I had a fun time watching it
Yeah.
with you.
It was a fun experience of a movie. The sound is really good.
The sound and the score is good.
Yep.
But
their jump scares, the way they
it's not
deafen
yes.
the stuff,
Yeah.
like they did a good job of that felt a little like that's what separated it from being just completely a B
Garbage,
movie.
yeah.
You know,
That's
hey,
why it has production in it. It has there's skill in this movie.
Yes.
And
agreed.
I think it's hard because this movie is meant to be bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's not meant to be taken super serious, and it's meant to be
but it's not full on like a scary movie.
Yeah.
Or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not a parody.
Those parody movies. Yeah.
But it's meant to be like, watch it with your friends, make fun of it. That's the whole point in this movie.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a terrible movie.
This has the makings though of being a cult classic.
Oh yeah, I think so.
You know what I mean?
I will rag on this movie, but I would watch this movie again.
Oh, 100%.
And just
yes.
make a drinking game or something out of it.
Yes. This is one that I will. You know, we review these movies and we say owning is the highest level of review we could give a movie.
Mm.
And I don't want to falsely display the ranking of this movie, but I probably will own this movie.
I will. Yeah. That's fair. It's so dumb.
It is so dumb, dude. But yeah, we had some good laughs.
Yeah.
And it was special. And so I think just even as a commemorative, and we got our special preview. I need to see this without Spanish subtitles. I just need to get the full experience.
I lost them halfway through because I watched you
after
watch
you
anime and
do
stuff.
your field of view starts to kind of correct those things.
Yeah.
But
I watched a fair amount of foreign stuff, so I'm kind of used to it.
Yeah, that bottom of the screen
Yeah,
is
I'm okay.
having some stuff there.
And especially if it's I kept looking at it though, so I'm used to and I kind of sometimes I watch with subtitles on
Fair enough.
because sometimes it's hard to hear.
So it didn't ruin it for you.
No, I thought it was hilarious though.
Yeah. Oh, it was nuts. We're it's just
you're
this Senior Rogers at the beginning of the movie. It was some just Mr. Rogers quote, but they were putting ominous
Senior
music,
Rogers.
and it was just what is happening with this movie?
It was just so much to wrap your brain around at the beginning because it was wait, this movie's trying to be weird and quirky, but why are there Spanish stuff? Was it supposed to be is that part of the movie? Was that intentional?
There's no way that was intentional.
You don't think that?
I don't think the base movie of this movie is straight up just has those subtitles in it. I feel like it should have said that.
I don't know. Dude.
In
Now I'm
addition
thinking
of the
it.
movie.
I think that was intentional.
Maybe. You think if I buy a DVD of this movie, it's just gonna come with?
That'd be genius. That's next level, man.
I guess. Next level for what? Like, you normally get the choice to put those on, not just like, oh no, this is next level. It's taking your choice away, with just Spanish subtitles for forever. Why is
That's the
this?
joke.
I mean, I guess.
That's the joke. Is be like,
You're
oh,
saying-
it's in Spanish. The joke is it to
Oh.
be. It's like funny. It's like it's a joke that all the subtitles are on there because like why is it there? That's the whole thing.
So meta,
It's
but it has
meta.
nothing to do with the movie.
No, because that's the joke.
Okay, I guess. That could be. That could be. Well, anyone who actually listens to this and gets it like rented, I would love to know. Can you comment and like let us know? Hey,
Yeah.
no subtitles
No
on my
no
copy.
Spanish. It was actually Russian on mine.
Oh yeah, that'd be funny. Okay, so that's the spoiler-free stuff.
Yeah, we got to
Let's-
get into this.
Let's just dive into like what we loved, hated, and just absolutely couldn't get enough of.
I don't know if I
this movie.
necessarily hated anything about this movie.
I didn't. No.
It was just dumb.
Yes, it was dumb. It was dumb. It was a little. It was very on the nose.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was exactly what it was trying to be, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do like to rate movies. Like, what story was it trying to say, and how well did it execute that?
Yeah.
Because genuinely, like, or usually that will allow me to like most movies.
Yeah.
And I do like this movie. And yeah, it just wasn't advertised as a parody of like a Knives Out, but it very much
It
felt
could
like,
totally have been, yeah.
hey, this just, what about this? But what if it's just dripped with a little bit more drama and sarcasm?
Yeah.
And that's what it did. And
Yeah.
some pretty good jump. I don't want to say like I genuinely got scared, but there were some good like jumps where I was like,
Yeah.
oh, well done. I was not
Yeah.
expecting to be like, whoa, that was spooky.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those were definitely good. Who stuck out to you in this?
Well, my
Was
favorite character was the scientist.
the environmental
Yeah,
specialist.
she was eating up every scene she was in.
very
it was
good.
it was so good because
Dr. Ellis, I think.
Yeah, why was she even analyze? Oh, she was analyzing the stuff to the hair to see like, is the hair on the database or whatever, on the international
Yeah.
database for hair? I
Yeah.
guess that's a thing.
And
The
it
one
is.
moment that like, the one when the movie clicked for me was when they find the husband's dead body
Yep.
and she pops out of nowhere from like sitting down.
Yes.
And that's when
right.
this movie clicks.
Yeah.
The movie. I'm like, I was on the ride. I was there. I'm
and
like,
they do
okay,
that
I
a
know
few more
exactly,
times
yeah.
throughout the movie.
I know
but
exactly
yeah.
what this movie is trying to be. Like,
Yes.
because otherwise I was like, is this movie trying to be serious? Is it not? But then
Yeah.
as soon as she's like popped out from the ground, she's like, that's a dead body or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I get this movie now.
Yeah. Let me just say this. Heavens to Betsy is this movie like a riot. There's some great liners, like some one-liners in
Oh,
it.
yeah.
There's some great there's some good comedy. I think there's some
No,
funny
I
stuff.
think it was genuinely funny at moments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a nice like rushed romantic plot in it where like they have 3 scenes together and then like by scene 4 it's
Like,
like,
they wanna
hey, so
kiss.
should we make out?
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, you guys like met 20 minutes ago and just like
Took a walk through the woods.
what is going on?
Yeah.
Yep, there was I need to look up her name, but the girl from all the AT&T
Oh
commercials.
yeah, it's like
God bless her.
Mila, something like that.
Yeah, Milana.
Milano cookies.
Yep. Vantrub,
Yeah.
I think is her last name.
Sure.
She plays a male person. Like
Mhm.
she's
Oh,
works for the
yeah.
USPS.
United States Postal Service.
Yeah. And she's rocking that, which was pretty funny because I think her first line is like, gender is, what was it? I forget. But like he's like, and what's your job? And she's like, I'm the male person. And so she gets called the male person
Yeah.
for like the rest of the movie. And the park ranger's pretty solid. He's actually really good.
Yeah, everyone's really good.
Sam
in it.
Richardson, he was
Yeah.
really good. They had like a little bit of everything. They had like a gay couple. They had a guy who clearly was like
conservative.
Didn't like flat out say like specific names of like who he
Yeah.
supported, but was very just like creepy old conservative guy
Yeah.
kind of.
And then crazy dog lady.
Crazy dog lady, and then like oil tycoon,
Yeah.
like slash hitman.
Yeah.
like I don't
Weird
know what he
hunter
is.
man.
There's just
Oh,
Yeah.
then the guy in the middle of the forest, or the middle of
Yes.
nowhere forest. That's like
Yeah.
has like a like no wait. What was the part where like you said it like 5 minutes in this movie? Like there's gonna be a dude who's
Yes.
literally has like a bear costume on him.
Yep. Well, I was like, there's gonna be a guy who blatantly looks like he could be a werewolf.
Mm-hmm.
He'll probably be like covered in blood because there's always that one guy that's like, oh, all evidence points to him being that.
Right.
Within 30 seconds, this guy shows up with a double barrel shotgun and a wolf cowl as his like hat with like a wolf's head on. I'm just like, yep, that's the one.
That's that. I'm like, you freaking called it, dude.
Yeah. And it genuinely, for being like as stupid as it was, I still was like, is there even a werewolf in this movie?
Yeah.
You know, like
there's definitely like it had us going where is it this person? And then there's a moment where like someone's like, oh, it's this person.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? It did a genuinely good job of who was the werewolf.
Yes.
And near the end, I'm like, oh, is the main character the werewolf, or is there no werewolf?
Right.
Yeah, it was great.
No, like we literally got all the way through the movie, and I was like, I think because the title being Werewolves Within, was it trying to be like symbolic to be like we all could be, but it's just how like awful humans can be to each other. And then we get to the last like 10 minutes and there's actually a werewolf in this movie. It's not the character who I thought was going to be it.
I
Like,
thought it was a scientist at the beginning.
you thought it was the scientist, and then at one point you thought it was actually the main park ranger because there's evidence that points to him being it as well. And there's a part where they're being like, there's like a standoff, and he starts to kind of like fiddle around. You're like, oh, is he gonna turn into a werewolf?
Yeah.
And then turns out that it was the male person all along.
The male person.
the-
all along.
Sweet lady who was
Sweet.
very kind and tried making out with the main protagonist.
But that was
and
her
they-
point, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, do you really think that National Park Talk really turned? And I,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, she did like have a few lines where it's like, didn't I seem a little too good to be true? And he's
Yeah.
like, no, like this is just some secluded area with like one really beautiful woman.
Yeah.
And I thought we were having a good time. You're just like, yeah, you kind of had me going too. Like, you know,
yeah.
so because it was quirky enough that it almost used that
As a
to
fan,
to
yeah.
fool you.
Yeah. Everyone was like basically a stereotype.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I love the scientist when she's like sitting in her room and she's like tip tapping away and they're asking her questions. She's like, now I can get back. And there's like at least a 10-second pause and she turns evilly to the camera and it's like, my work.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes.
yeah, they're knocking on the door being like, are you okay? And she goes, I just need some more time to work. And you just lost it. You're just like, yes. Because it's like hinted at maybe she is a werewolf.
Yeah.
Maybe she knows more about this. And so she has to like cover her tracks by saying,
Ooh, her tracks.
to work.
Yeah.
You know, just.
And I was like, everything was popping off. Like, she's the werewolf. That's my favorite character. I'm like, yes. It was exactly what it needed to be.
Yes.
And then yeah, man, this movie is so dumb and stupid. I love every second of it.
Yes. Well said. That's our quote for tonight. So dumb, so stupid. Loved every part of it.
Yeah. Give me more.
Even, yeah, because like you said, it could have been a budget film, but I felt like even the werewolf design, like she
Yeah, she looked
transforms
good.
into a werewolf. She looked, so
Solid.
it kind of almost was like a callback to, kind of not full on like Michael J. Fox Teen Wolf, but a little bit of that vibe where like just hair everywhere,
Mhm.
like arms, hands, fingers, you know,
Right.
like all over. So I felt like that was pretty well done. It didn't feel like cheap in that regard.
I was waiting to see the transformation to be like, is this gonna be like any good?
Yeah.
So that's
it-
why it has a decent budget to it.
Yeah. Well, and that torch in the movie had
The
to have
phallic
cost him-
torch.
Yeah. There was some fun, just like plot devices. There was this like the whole. It was kind of an environmental movie, like or at least
Right.
had a message towards environmentalism of like this pipeline was trying to get
built
and
dug.
the environmental specialist
Yeah.
there that was doing the science is like there to
See if it's okay or whatever.
yeah, make sure it's all good. But in the middle of the town, there's just straight up a giant like
Pole.
flaming torch that has two gas cans conveniently placed side by side.
And the fire is lit the entire time.
The fire's lit. And
then
there's got to be 20 shots with this thing in the background.
It's just sitting in the back. And then it has some payoff to it though.
It does. Yeah.
Which I didn't know
Nothing
was
is
gonna happen.
unused in this movie.
Which you like.
Yes, I do like that. Like every character had a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't like it was clean.
I think it was short for being like pretty much a homemade-ish movie.
Mm-hmm.
It was good.
Yeah.
Like it was put together well.
Yeah.
Like I've seen Hollywood movies, high budget movies that make less sense than this.
100% with like 10 times the budget.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But I think I even left that movie theater slightly ashamed that I made Michael go to it. But also I told him like straight up, I was like, if that was my first movie I ever made in Hollywood, I would be perfectly okay with that.
I would be so happy with that.
Right?
Yeah.
Like
If we made that movie, that would be great.
yeah,
Yeah.
what an achievement.
Yeah.
I think it's not going to win any awards.
No.
But like
I think we're gonna be the only two people in the world that see it.
we definitely were the first two in America to see it. We had to be. No one's going to that special preview.
No.
And boy, was it special.
It's special to us.
There was something about the version that we saw with the subtitles. Like this could have been the rarest way to experience this movie.
Yeah.
And like, there's only going to be a handful of people who can say what we said.
And that's pretty special.
It's like a couple people in LA and us.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
It is kind of cool.
Yeah. I think that's great. I will always have this memory.
Yes, that's true. This movie will, regardless of how any of you feel, even after this, if you're like, boy, you guys really sold me on not seeing this movie,
That's okay.
it's going to have a special memory in our lives.
Yeah.
So, but no, I agree. Grab a few friends, have a few drinks, a few laughs,
Yeah.
throw this thing on.
I think it would be a good night.
You're not going to regret it.
No.
I
And if you
mean,
turn it off halfway through, cool.
great. Yeah. It's going to cost you $1 at Redbox. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
So, no, it's something. What else should we really dive into though?
That's pretty much, I don't know.
That's
it.
You just need to experience.
I really, I would love to. We should do a commentary of this movie.
Like a live watch.
Yes.
Okay.
Putting that out there as an
Alright.
idea.
Let me let it marinate
Yeah.
a little bit.
Okay. Little sizzle.
And because our commentary is pretty fun. We've done it with like a few movies in the past with like the HBO Max stuff, like the Justice League, Snyder
yeah.
Cut, and Mortal Kombat, where we just didn't record ourselves, but we totally could have.
We just
been
talked
like,
about it.
Oh my gosh, get over here!
That'd be a fun one to do.
That would be a very fun one to do. Who would you recommend this to? Like,
Oh my god.
is there a person that you can think of, like or like a type of person?
Yeah. There's like again, it's like someone who enjoys like Monty Python
Yeah,
and like
something that doesn't take itself too seriously.
yeah. I have a buddy who absolutely loves, oh boy, Holy Grail.
Okay.
And he would love this movie.
Fair enough.
Because then I feel like if I watched this in high school, like we did Monty Python and Holy Grail, and we just quoted it the entire time,
Yeah.
this would be that.
Yeah.
And you'd be quoting like
Heavens to Betsy.
Heavens to Betsy. It's not as good. Holy Grail is like
Yeah.
great, but
agreed,
like it's
yeah.
that same kind of vibe of like quirky, weird. Yeah,
Agreed.
you have to like something like that to even get remotely close to
Mhm.
this.
And just props too for how creative it was. There was nothing that was like stereotypically like, oh, I know who's gonna die next.
Yeah, it was.
It was genuinely surprising.
Yeah.
I felt like. Who knows? There's some people who could probably watch it and be like, oh, I could see it a mile away. You know.
Yeah,
I've had people like tell me, I was like, I went and saw Knives Out, and I could tell who it was from the minute I started watching the movie. And I'm like, what? It took me to the end of that movie to figure out who it was. Anyway,
It probably could be pretty obvious that it was. Who it was.
no spoilers, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Because we'll probably talk about
I wasn't talking about
got
Knives Out. I was talking about
Yeah.
AT&T girl.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Because like she was the least suspectable, right? And that's usually the one that.
Fair. Yeah. Yeah, I guess. And I guess they kind of like let her have all the stuff at the beginning, and then kind of just like let her be in the background for the rest of the movie. So it kind of like makes you kind of forget about her.
And that's the best way to win those games.
Yeah.
Is you're like, oh hey, I was this, and then everyone else fights, and it's like, well, you were this, blah, 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 and you just kind of fade into the background, and then you just win.
You just manipulate everyone. That's true. Fair enough. Okay. Well, there's that.
Man, what a movie.
Are we gonna actually rate it?
Yes.
Okay.
My number does not reflect my enjoyment of this movie.
Okay.
It's a 3.
3's not bad, I guess. I'm trying to think of what else you'd put down there.
Okay, I'll give it a 4. Actually, I'll give it a 4. I'll give it a 4.
That was easy.
Cause like it's not terrible, but it is, but it isn't. Cause I had a great time with it.
Yeah.
In my memory,
and isn't that the whole point of the
Yeah.
movie? Is that it's supposed to be terrible? So therefore, isn't it amazing?
The point of it, I may or may not want to rate it a 9 or a 10, but I can't in good conscience do that.
I hear you.
Yeah, my enjoyment of it, I gonna get burned for saying this.
Mm-hmm.
This is probably the most enjoyable movie I've seen since we started this podcast.
Really?
Because I had a great time watching it.
It was a very fun.
I just had a fun time.
That's fair.
I had a fun time.
Yeah, that's fair.
But it's not
because you're not watching a Quiet Place going, "Oh, dude,
dude.
did they do that?
They just shot this giant flame thing and it exploded."
That's fair. I see what you're saying.
It is not the best movie we've seen.
Yeah.
I want to make that extremely clear.
Yeah. But you're right. When the stars align sometimes and there's this event where it's like, what if we actually do get like a big theater to ourselves?
Yeah.
And we can just laugh at this.
That's exactly what we got.
And that's what happened.
Yeah. So it is not the best movie we have seen.
Correct.
But it was the most fun I've had.
Yes, I agree.
When watching a movie, yeah.
So that's what I would say. If you're contemplating on watching it solo, I would hold off.
Yes.
And just be like, whose night can I ruin as well? And just have fun.
Be like Nick.
Yeah. And make sure you put those Spanish subtitles on. And yeah, I think you guys will see this movie.
You'll definitely watch at least 10 minutes of this movie.
You'll definitely watch part of it at least. So
you're not getting away without rating it, you know.
Yeah, I'm with you. I can't in good conscience put it like above a 5
at all. No way.
Or I'm probably at a 4 as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I would also say that it was a great theatrical experience. It was at the perfect time in the night where it's just like I'm a little tired, so I didn't care as much.
Yeah. And also, it was a full moon.
It was a full moon.
Yeah.
Everything about the night we went was just super special. We like looked at it. We was like, dude, is that a full moon? Started just howling. We're just like, dude, werewolves, let's go. It was an experience.
It was an experience.
And I hope you at home can also experience this.
I think we're hyping it too much.
No, we're not hyping it. We've definitely crapped on this enough. We've definitely put piles and piles of crap on this movie.
I don't think anyone else is going to experience it the way we did, though.
It's
just
true.
to be like,
oh, yeah, our version of this movie was just heightened for sure. Mm-hmm. Agreed. So, anyway, if you're still listening,
God bless.
Give it a check. You know, thank you so much. But, yeah. I didn't make the right call, but in the same way, I made the right call. So, anyway.
I will never doubt your decisions.
Sweet. I can trust my gut still. Good, because I apologized to you like 3 times during this movie.
Like literally, like as soon as the people like a minute into the interview, a minute into the movie, pretty much halfway through the movie, you're like, "You sure you still want to watch this?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm so in."
Good. Sounds good. Well, I think we'll probably end it there.
Yeah.
But check out Werewolves Within. We also liked In the Heights a lot.
Yeah.
More than the.
Genuinely more. Yes. Yes.
But
I want to make that clear.
Anyway, You probably won't hear a review from Werewolves Within anywhere else, but you can hear it from us, from Not Us United.
Awoo.
Ow, ow. See you, everybody.
You've just listened to Not Us United. You can find us under Not Us United on Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube. Please leave us a review and consider subscribing to our podcast. You can reach out for future podcast topic suggestions at notusunitedpod@gmail.com.